The newest episode of JJK dropped last Thursday, and as usual, it was a banger. Setting up Megami and Reggie fight, having goated animation, amazing hand-to-hand choreography, and finally seeing the GOAT Takaba animated. But I will say it, this is all going to be trumped within the next 2 weeks as Sendai Colony drops. Oh my god, we are going to see the best Culling Games colony, and this may be biased because Yuta is my favorite character, but we also meet other tough Culling Games participants. And if the animation quality continues to be as goated as it has been, this is going to end up being better than the Maki episode. And basically today I just want to cover this colony, so let's get started. Sendai opens up amazingly, the narrator talking about how Sendai is crazy how it surpassed Tokyo in terms of viciousness. And let's not forget, in Tokyo, motherfuckers were throwing hands, you know? Megami versus Reggie, we had Yuji versus Higuruma. The narrator then introduces the 4 main players in this colony. Drove, a long-range Shikigami user, Ryu Shigori, the man with the highest cursed energy output, and Uro, a woman with a crazy technique allowing her to manipulate the sky around her. Also, there's a special grade cursed spirit named Kurorushi, and it's a big-ass cockroach, which is nasty as shit. After introducing these 4 players, the narrator starts throwing insane aura lobs at Yuta, talking about how these 4 have entered a stalemate and no one's willing to make the first move, until Yuta enters the colony and kills Drub with this dope-ass panel. I mean, look at it. We also get an explanation how after JJK 0 and losing Rika, he re-became a special grade sorcerer in just 3 months. The aura loves are insane. After Jirobe's death, his Shikigami both immediately disappear, which Ryu and Uro notice and immediately find out that it's Yuta. Now, seeing that Yuta packed them up, they decide to keep an eye on him. We see Yuta's with a group of regular people trying to escort them out of the colony like the goat he is, you know, helping other people. But as he's doing this, he's interrupted by some rumbling, and looking back is a giant-ass wave of cockroaches. And as someone who grew up with cockroaches in a household, this is nasty as shit. Yuta immediately springs into action though, trying to save a guy from the cockroaches, but when he's pulling him out of the wave of cockroaches, he's eaten straight to the bone. Yuta notices these roaches have cursed energy, and he collapses the bridge underpass, separating the wave, shooting out the smaller wave, immediately destroying them. Uro and Ryu both notice this, and immediately start glazing Yuta, you know. His cursed energy amount is crazy, and I mean, it is normal because Yuta is the GOAT, but, you know, chill with the glaze a little bit. After this, Yuta notices Kurorushi standing under the bridge, looking all villainous. The narrator basically explains that Kurorushi was laying dormant until Drove was dealt with because it was a bad matchup for him, and now Bro's hungry and Yuta just interrupted his meal, so now they have to run the fade, and as a big fat ass myself, I do understand this. Now Yuta, looking out for people like a goat does, says that people like Kurorushi and Drove with broad range techniques cannot be free to leave these colonies. During this internal monologue, Yuta thinks of the rules they need to add to the Culling Games in order to further their goals and make sure people are safe. In conclusion, he says he needs 4 rules, and a rule's gonna cost 100 points. In a goated moment, Yuta says that he will gather all 400 points himself and kill Kenjaku, the man who created the games, in one of the most cold panels ever. And this is just normal for Yuta. This is what a goat does, taking the burdens of others out of his own kindness. We cut back to see this nasty ass panel of Kurorushi pulling out his festering life blade, immediately trying to swing on Yuta. That shit does not work, and he loses an arm for his troubles. Yuta pins the arm, dropping his sword, and sends Kurorushi flying under the bridge. He tries to recover flying upwards, but Yuta is already back on timing, jumping on the bridge, grabbing a guardrail and throwing it at Kurorushi, knocking him out of the sky. As Kurorushi's falling, Yuta is already back on timing, jumping down on Kurorushi with an overhead slash, which to Kurorushi's credit, he manages to block with like a group of roaches. It's kind of nasty, but kind of cool. Kurorushi swarms the roaches into a tornado, flying up with it, and Yuta does not give a fuck. I mean, look at him. And even in the midst of battle, Yuta does notice that Uro and Ryu are both watching him. He analyzes the situation and decides against using RCT or Rika, so the players don't have the upper hand on him. Kurorushi tries talking to Yuta, asking why he's stopping him from killing people, but Yuta's just like, why are you trying to kill people? Like, what's the point? And this just makes Kurorushi freak the fuck out. Like, look, what's going on? He tries to attack Yuta, summoning these, like, these 2 nutsack looking bugs. Like, this is actually disgusting. The bugs swarm Yuta with roaches, but he makes this, like, water spiral and easily kills the nut bugs. I'm not sure what happens in this next panel, but it looks like Yuta gets something in his eye, and Kurorushi almost hits him with his cleaver. Yuta blocks, but then little bugs shoot out of the blade, hitting Yuta's shoulder. In this nasty ass panel, larvae shoot out of his shoulder, and I can only imagine that Gege had recently watched Alien while writing this, because the amount of body horror and like alien-esque things is just nasty as hell. Anyway, Yuta cuts the larvae out of his shoulder in a raw panel, but Kuroshi's already back on him and cuts into his stomach, and it's looking bad. Everyone thinks Yuta is down for the count. Kuroshi pulls Yuta in, but in one of the rawest panels in the series, Yuta bites into his face, shooting positive energy into Kuroshi, making him fucking explode. Look at this, holy shit. Ryu and Uro are both shocked by this, and we get another cold panel of Yuta standing over what's left of Kuroshi. But before he can catch a break, Uro is already whispering in his ear with a sneak attack. He gets sent flying, not knowing what just happened to him. Uro is back on Bro immediately with her specialty in hand-to-hand combat with her technique. Yuta is trying to understand what her technique is, but she just ends up disclosing it to him anyway. Her technique is sky manipulation, allowing her to create surfaces out of the sky. Yuta feels like Naruto and tries to talk to Uro, asking why she's even fighting. Uro says that people who agreed to be reincarnated as sorcerers all pretty much didn't have fulfillment in their past lives, and that's why they accepted Kenjaku's deal. And the reason she's killing is Kenjaku probably has some sort of plan, she assumes, and having more points is gonna be better for her. Yuta basically just calls her a loser, asking if she has any friends in her past life. And him getting friends recently says, you know, he can relate, he can sympathize with her, but this just pisses her off. Before they can run the fade back, Ryu launches a giant granite blast. I mean, just look at the size of this thing. Oh my lord. Yuta Haiki tanks it though and decides that Ryu is dangerous and he needs to get him off immediately. He dashes at Ryu and Ryu starts getting pumped up seeing this, shooting 6 more granite blasts at Yuta. And in one of the most clean moves, Yuta spins around a pole while running at him to avoid one of the blasts before the other 5 crash onto his head. He disappears into the smoke and Ryu notices Yuta is already climbing up the building to his left. Yuta steps in immediately running the fade with Ryu and they get into a crazy boxing match. And look here, do we notice smoke is coming off of Ryu's hand from one punch of Yuta's, meaning he had to use RCT. That, oh my gosh, it's insane. This guy's the GOAT. Now, after this first exchange of hands, Ryu talks about how in his last life he was unsatisfied, that he fought strong people, he had a wife, and yet still felt empty. He yaps about not having his dessert in his past life, then starts throwing hands with Yuta once again, hitting a mean right which Yuta has to guard. This builds up into a massive exchange. Ryu compares Yuta to a tank with his cursed energy reinforcement, and Yuta acknowledges the output of Ryu. And in another magnificent panel, I mean chef kiss, Yuta is sent flying by Ryu. Ryu immediately stays on his ass, chasing him as he's crashing through buildings. And in one of the most extra shots in the series, he does a side flip while upside down, shooting Yuta with a granite blast. I mean, look at this shit. What is he doing? Yuta eats the fucking shot with his palm, following up on Ryu with a nasty right hook into the ground. Ryu tanks it though, blasting him off. I mean, this is just a beautiful fight, man. Holy. As Yuta sent flying into the air, Uro comes back into the fight with a thin icebreaker, sending Yuta flying back into the ground. Ryu's pissed, shooting a blast just to have it thrown back at him by Uro. And Uro's technique is just so nice to look at. The way she like spins it around and throws it back, it's just another... It's just clean. They both look at Yuta like, is he out? Is he down for the count? In another spectacular panel, Yuta calls on Rika. Holy. Uro and Ryu are both in shock and can't believe that Yuta's just been holding back this whole time. But Yuta gets straight to work, using curse speech on Uro, and with Rika puts her in one of the meanest combos of all time. Look at how they have her looking in the sky, Jesus Christ. Ryu feels left out, shooting a blast at them, but Rika just tanks it with her palm like Yuta did before her. She hits Ryu with a mean right hook, to which he responds with one of his own. Yuta is in his own fight with Uro, using Drub's technique against her, and she realizes his technique is copy and not curse speech. She manages to block a right hook from Yuta. As Rika and Ryu land back beside them, everyone is warmed up, leading to a top 5 manga panel in JJK. The 3-way domain clash. Sadly, before we can see the outcome of the 3-way domain clash, they're interrupted by that goddamn cockroach again. And you might be thinking, but Yuta killed him, he got the points, what happened? Well, Kurushi used this this technique, it's called parthenogenesis. Having an offspring that once Yuta killed the original Kurushi, all of his curse energy poured into the child. So now the roach is back. Yuta takes advantage of this immediately, however, in a bad matchup, kicking Uro to Kurushi, and after a domain expansion, people experience technique burnouts. So Uro is defenseless against Kurushi and gets her arm chopped off. Rika instantly grabs the arm, eating it. Ryu blasts both Uro and Kurushi with raw output in order to like mask the technique burnout because of his output. He's just the goat. And they're both out for the count. Yuta finishes off Kurushi without looking, and we get to the two main contenders, Ryu Ishigori and Yuta Okotsu. This fight is so good. In a dope build-up, Ryu and Yuta both charge their blast. Yuta's original plan was to shoot before Ryu could reach full output, but seeing Ryu's resolve, his desire for a great battle, he decides to go all out, giving him a beam clash. And Yuta obviously loses the beam clash because he does not have the output that Ryu does, quite frankly. Yuta gets knocked away but jumps back in. Rika shoots off a blast at Ryu, who tanks it with his palm, trying to show Yuta that he can hang with the action too. Ryu shoots a point blank at Yuta, who redirects the blast into the air, then using Thin Icebreaker on Ryu. Rika follows up with a blow to the head, making blood spill out everywhere. Ryu punches Rika away wildly, making her demanifest. More blows exchange between Ryu and Yuta before Yuta holds him in place. The granite blast from the sky falls back down onto Ryu, leaving him burnt to a crisp. And the last man standing in Sendai is Yuta Okotsu. Sendai was successful, Ryu is full, Yuta gets his 200 points from Ryu and Uro. This just wraps up Sendai, man. This is genuinely probably my favorite part of JJK. I might like this more than like the final arc, and that's an amazing arc too. Just seeing Yuta fight, there's so many cold and raw panels. Good character building for both Uro and Ryu, and we get to see the philosophy around Yuta with him wanting to protect people and taking burdens and stuff. It comes even more around in the final arc, which I think is very nice. All around peak, Gege is really talented with the artwork here. He was in his bag and the writing. I am so ready to see this animated. Just to see Yuta shine, and if they keep up the level of animation with the recent episodes, this is going to be better than the Maki episode, which is already like a 10 out of 10 episode. But that's pretty much it. I really just wanted to cover Sendai and just talk about it. This might not even come out in time for like the Sendai release. I might be too late. I've been kind of procrastinating voicing over this, but that's all I had pretty much, party people. Good night.